For the month of May, we began with an adjusted cash balance of $88,046,343. We had total receipts of $10.3 million and total expenditures of $21.2 million. Our net decrease was $10,871,440. The balance on hand at the end of the month was $77,174,903. May was a pretty typical month. We did have more expenses this month due to the timing of payrolls. We had 3 main payrolls this month compared to our 2. We received $875,000 from the county for transporting non-public school children, and we received $1.5 million in occupational license taxes. We made debt service payments of $2.9 million.
New business item C, which was consent agenda R, which is the contract for Panorama Student Services Platform.
I had a couple of questions. So I think you already know my questions, and which is great. What part of this is required by law?
So when we talk about Panorama, we're really talking about 2 pieces. The first piece is the survey. That's what we've talked about the past couple of years. That student survey serves as a required screener. So there is a statute that requires, in order for us to provide interventions, to provide learning in social emotional behavior, that we have to also provide a screener like we do for mathematics and reading. So that's the screener. The other part is student success. Student success is really the robust system that houses all of the interventions we put into place for those students, not just for social emotional behavior, but also for academics. So in looking at like the return on investment, I think you were going to ask about that. We had, I think, 6,400 intervention plans put into student success this past year. And about 4,000 of those, the students met their goal by the end of the year. And we are still not at 100%. Next year, we plan to be at 100%. So there is a huge return of investment in terms of the interventions that are being put into place. Also, it's just efficiency. You know, I think we've used this analogy before, too, that when we go to the doctor, we go to the hospital, the doctor's not pulling blood reports from here and bone reports from here and stomach reports are here. It's all right in front of him or her in this beautiful, platform, so he can readily make a decision on what's best for the patient. It's the same thing for student success in Panorama for the teachers.
Okay. Another question that I didn't ask this morning, but how long is the information kept?
I think as long as, I think, go ahead.
So after they graduate or move, then it's gone. But it's gone from us, right? Our access to it.
Yeah, and Kyle, they have signed the
Federal.
yeah.
Right.
Kyle, do you want to comment on that? There are federal protections for student data that have to comply with any of the programs we use. Kyle, do you have anything on that? I don't want to misspeak.
Sure, I can say that they've signed the DPSA that we have for the district.
Which stands for?
Sorry, the Data Privacy and Security Agreement that the district has, that the board attorney has helped us draft, which has some provisions in it for making sure that the data is removed when we're done doing business with the company.
Removed from there.
From their system, their servers, yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
And there are federal safeguards for any of these programs that we work through regarding student data.
Appreciate it.
I have a few questions, too. So working in the district as a teacher, we have Dreambox, we have Lexia, we have Infinite Campus, we have MAP, we have FastBridge, we have textbooks to give us interventions and also to document what these students are doing. So, which I used extensively as a teacher. Infinite Campus will discuss the behaviors, and we had to put them in Infinite Campus whenever there was a problem, so that it would be pooled so we would know what was going on. Dreambox, Lexia, we would keep on top of those, bring those to our meetings. FastBridge, I had to document when I did math interventions with that. And STAR, of course, you're looking at those, and we had CASE in the past, and I've talked with you, which, and I have to say, with talking with you, that you did an excellent job explaining this to me. It seems to me that the Panorama takes all of this data and puts it in to one database so that it is easier to get to, which I think is very, very, it's going to be less time consuming. But as a teacher, I don't know how much teachers use Panorama. I see it as more of a district type of thing. Maybe it'll be used more in the future. But my concern is that we have all of this data that we can get to, and this is going to be a platform, especially with student emotional learning. You can get the student surveys out of that and document. It also documents their attendance, which is in Infinite Campus, okay? And it documents their life skills. And my concern is that you have all of this information, but it just is not as easy to get to as if you had this entire panorama. So my concern is also, if you have a student, you can bring them up, and see where they all are. But as a teacher, I think it's really important to delve in these platforms yourself and not have it so easy that you can go, oh, well, look at this. Because I know with me that when I got into STAR, they would give me more information. And then I would ask more questions and why is this happening? So I think it is extremely important that we stay on top of what our students are doing. But also, I would caution that we become as a district so computerized that we just go, computer, tell us what we should do, and I don't think teachers would do that, but I think there could be in the future some kind of leaning on, it's got the letters, it's got everything. We don't really have to do the work that we had to do. So that is kind of on my, in my mind. And so I wonder if you could respond then to, if we have these platforms and they are collecting the data and the data is actually being given to Panorama, why is Panorama necessary?
That's a really good question, and I would agree with you. We never want to just take the surface data and stop thinking. There's something to be said about being consciously competent in what we're doing. But I would argue that the database itself, being able to put it up on a screen in front of our PLC, that creates an opportunity to have really rich conversations around what student needs, because everybody can see the data at once. We're not passing around folders of reports from all those different programs that you mentioned, which is what we did when I was a principal. I would also say that, that there are some things within Panorama that are in addition to IXL and Dreambox. The fact that you can build the plan right in the system. It's right in front of you. You can monitor right in the system. It's right in front of you. So there are a lot of benefits, but I would agree with you wholeheartedly. We never want to just be in a situation where a school looking at a number, making a decision, and not really thinking about what's behind the number.
I just believe it's, and we have good teachers, so I don't think they would do that. But
Right.
if everything is so accessible and you don't have to go to the source of where it came from, you're getting, also if you're getting a total analysis of everything, if that's a good analysis, that's good. But there has to be critical thinking in anything that is
Absolutely.
given like this.
Absolutely.
So those are my concerns about it.
So a few years ago, when we first introduced, this was first on the agenda, I asked many of these same questions. And at that time, my objection was really the cost. Because like you said, it takes data from the services that we already use, like Infinite Campus. But as a person that I understand how multiple data systems can be cumbersome in trying to identify statistics or information. It is sometimes helpful to have an aggregate that compiles all that data into one page or one platform, and then identify, the blinking light on one report and a blinking light on another report, and sort of put that together to make sure that someone is spotting that data, like an attendance issue in Infinite Campus and a survey or a student questionnaire answer on another software, where those two people are totally different in the district. One's looking at attendance, one's looking at Dreambox. They might not correlate, hey, our Dreambox score has dropped severely, and the attendance person might not call them and say, hey, how's their Dreambox score? So what Panorama does is it says, well, wait, there's an attendance issue. There's reduced math efficiency or whatever, and sort of turns on this light bulb. And so I know at Ryle High School, for example, they have these meetings in the mornings, and a team kind of looks at Panorama and sort of identifies which students should we be talking to this week to make sure that they're not, having struggles that they haven't had before. They might have been great students in middle school, and then all of a sudden one week in 10th grade, something happens. But I agree with you that if there were human beings that were sitting there scouring Infinite Campus, scouring all the other various overwhelmingly complicated softwares that we have, maybe they could make those correlations. And one of the things you said was something I concern myself with quite a bit, and that is this district is in a strange place of being a small town, high population district, right? And we have such a vast difference between schools. Like we heard earlier, through the audience of citizens, some of our schools have different struggles than others. And I am with you that we never want to introduce something that takes the human component out of it, where you're just now a number on a screen and your light's either green, yellow, or red. That is what we really do not want. And I struggle with that portion when we first introduced this software. But I've learned that our staff that are using the software aren't that way. That they really do take a deep dive into whatever data they're seeing. And all we're doing here is just making sure all the data is in one screen so it can be analyzed and put in the right place.
You can sit down. That's well said.
I know.
My goodness.
I have another question, though.
Okay.
Oh, then don't sit down. That is well said.
Is there, have we looked at other companies that would,
That's a good
that
question.
have this?
To be honest, this year we did not, because we're in the third year of probably a 5-year journey and rolling out the program itself. To jump ship.
Are there other companies that offer
that offer this
this kind of a platform?
we When's the last time we looked?
Okay.
The previous. Okay. Otis.
Oh, yeah.
Mrs. Young, I asked that similar question when we first passed it, and there were on the table at that time 2 or 3 other vendors that did something similar. And if I remember correctly, obviously they didn't make it on the agenda because they didn't, there was some reason why we didn't pick them. But one, I think you're correct, was more expensive. And then the other, or maybe a combination of more expensive and then less robust. And then if I'm not mistaken, some of these tools charge you per plugin, right? So the more softwares that you have, the larger the district you have. It's per student, and then it's also per thing that you're plugging into it, like Infinite Campus, all the things that were mentioned prior, which contribute to the cost. All right, we'll move forward with a vote. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Nay. All right, so motion passes 3-2.
Divisions 4 and 5 are up for re-election in 2026. Know who you're voting for, do a little bit of research, look at who they're hanging out with. If they're already on the school board, check out their voting record. That should tell you everything. And if you're not happy with their performance, run for school board. It's not that hard.